First things first, how are you?
We're good.
Good.
Thank you. We're good.
Very good to hear. So before we get into what are you doing right now, Amy, do you remember first meeting her? Your first meeting?
Oh,
us.
it was like years ago. I think,
Go on.
well, basically, the real story is a long time ago, a very long time ago, I used to date George's brother. And then I came into the family, and then we broke up, and then I stayed in the family, and they were all friends, and yeah, I just never left.
Well, that's interesting then, because Georgia, what was your impression of Amy at that point?
Thought she was great, you know. she.
I was the sister you never had.
Oh, what I remember, I think maybe it was when he first started coming around. I showed her my coin collection. I've got a big coin collection, so I was like,
Collects 50p.
I was like, look at this. And she was like, that's nice. She was like, and now she finds coins for me and gives them to me.
Yes.
And she does. So.
Years later, I made you rich. 50p.
No, I always give you back the other one.
I don't know what age this was, but did you know about each other that you liked music more than most?
I think you started like 8 years old playing.
Yeah, I started on the piano, but in terms of the bass, we started like 13. It's just like teenager, thought let me try and do something louder and more rebellious. So I picked up the bass.
Why more rebellious?
I don't know, because I was quite shy when I was younger, so I would just play the piano but just kind of hide behind it, like sitting down. And I thought, can we play the bass, stand up, be more like up front, and it actually,
It resonated with me.
yeah, it just resonated. It felt quite good, and yeah.
I've always, since 5 years old, always been into singing like a princess.
What kind of song?
Got
kind of
Disney songs. And then it just changed one day.
She got dark.
I got dark, and then Disney stopped. No, that was obviously I was like 4 years old or something, or 5. But I've always been interested in it. It's just something that you're born with, I think. I don't know, is it?
Yeah, I feel like it's like having a spirit animal, isn't it? You have your calling instrument. Obviously, the piano wasn't the one for me, and then the bass kind of called to me. When I first played it, I didn't put it down. I was like, I just want to play it. I don't know. Even though I wasn't very good, I was just like, just always played it and got into it.
You come from a musical household
Yeah.
as well, don't you? So, yeah, it's just,
How does that turn in? Because obviously you come around their house. How does that turn into, hey, let's try and make some music together?
we just always played gigs in different projects, but together.
Okay.
So we'd book the same shows. We made sure we booked the same shows, help each other
Yeah.
on stuff. Like, I think once you even, like, a long time ago, like years ago, I don't know, you must have
Played
probably you was like
keys.
14 or something,
Yeah.
played keys on like
Your
a song
set.
or something. Yeah, so we've always been.
In different bands or projects, but on the same kind of scene, like playing together.
And then obviously we'd all go back home together because I'd basically like live at yours.
At mine, yeah.
So, and then one day we was like, let's write a song together, and then we did, and it was called Bad Bitches. And Georgia just played like a really crazy, distorted bass line, and I did some kind of punky rap vocal on it, and that was it. That was our sound. It was like, wow.
Yeah, it was like the penny drop, but like, this is really good.
Well, I'm not sure what type of music you played in those other projects that you played in, but were you surprised about what came out?
We were surprised how good it felt.
Yeah.
You know, we was like, oh.
We wrote it really quickly as well. It's kind of just like, I think we hung out all the time, like we were inseparable.
Yeah.
So like doing it kind of just felt really natural, even though it's the first ever song we wrote. It was just kind of like, just laid out, and we're like, oh, why haven't we done this all
Yeah.
along? It's like,
And then we wrote more.
Yeah.
And then we decided maybe we should be serious and actually become the
Do
band
it.
ourselves.
and when it happened, it was very official.
It was like a marriage proposal.
It was like a wedding proposal. Amy was like, do you want to do this, like, be committed and, you know, do it properly, and I was like, yeah, I'm committed, like totally.
And then we toasted, didn't
And then
we?
we're like, cheers.
And
Pull
then
out a contract.
Yeah.
it was, it was great.
was
And it works really well for us. So.
Well, that song, Bad Bitches?
That was our
Bitches,
first
yeah,
one.
it's not out.
That attitude, where did that come from? Because I think it permeates throughout your music, that kind of forceful attitude.
Yeah, I think it just comes from lifestyle, upbringing, maybe our beliefs and stuff, what we experience as, two girls in the 21st century and how we live in that kind of world. It's just that's what we experience and that's how we feel. I don't know.
And, well, Georgia, you mentioned that you were quite shy as you were growing up, so kind of throwing that out on stage and kind of being that powerful person. What was that like, that transition?
I don't know, I think you have to do a lot of gigs, like when you're a new band, I think you should gig out, because if you just get thrown out into like a big situation, you haven't really, done the back work, you will be, really stiff, but when you do loads of gigs and different gigs and you kind of learn, I don't know, your way of performing and what feels good. And now we don't even think about it. We just have fun. Even in rehearsal, we're just like the same because it just fits. We can't help but move when we do our songs. And I don't know, it just grew really.
So kind of having to pay your dues on the road.
Definitely, yeah.
What was the worst moment on stage that you've had so far?
Worst moment. It's been a few.
I think when the sound's just terrible, I really struggle because I'm just like, when it's just like really quiet or just not, doesn't sound in it. If you're not in it, then it's really hard to kind of like get in the zone if it's just quiet, if you can't hear the drums or, do you know what I mean?
We've had a couple of weird moments. I think our first ever gig together
That was
was
bad.
the worst.
But we didn't even have a drummer.
We didn't have a drummer at the time, so we got
We had someone playing the drum machine.
Old school drum machine.
Drum machines, they're like,
And it was still.
worse.
And everyone was expecting us. Who was headlining it? It was our first show
And
ever.
obviously, like, our previous bands ended, so people was like, what's this new project they're doing? People like knew us. And then we did it, and it was so
Was your bass
bad.
really quiet or
The
something?
bass, I swear, like, I didn't have a bass amp at the time, so I had like this little cube.
You couldn't hear the bass. So all you heard was this fall to the floor, and the person who was playing the drum machine, that's not a drummer either. So it was just.
And I swear we was in like a warehouse. We was in like a massive high
Yeah.
ceiling room. It was the worst. I was so embarrassed.
And everyone was looking at us, and everyone knew it was terrible. It was terrible. But that was our first gig, and we didn't have a live drummer. And
It
then
was terrible.
there's been like moments where we supported some bands, and I'm not going to say the name, but it was like a purely hip hop.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, it was like a purely hip hop band. They're quite big, and and we were quite new on the scene then, and it was too early. I think when you are gigging, make sure you're ready for them shows.
That's why I said pay your dues.
Go and gig loads. It was so early. We just managed to get this. So we thought, you've got to do it. And they didn't know we was playing their audience. So there's all this hardcore hip hop.
It wasn't
people
even
looking
advertised.
at us like this for the whole show. We weren't, it was the beginning of our career. So we were like,
Then after that we were like, let's
yeah, the
pay
band
our
loved
dues.
us, but the audience were a bit like
Yeah, the
confused.
band's like still friends of us, but
But you raise an interesting point, which is kind of people might have certain preconceptions about the type of music that you make. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember speaking to Michael Kiwanuka, and he said people were surprised that he played guitar, and that they, are you here to make some R&B music or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that? So how have you kind of, and especially as women as well, dealt with kind of the preconceptions that people have about you?
I think it makes us kind of play harder, and it makes us more motivated to be able to be a reflection for women and or people who feel like they're not represented
the
fairly.
minority.
Because we weren't growing up, there was no one that we could look up to and think, we were told that women of colour belong in the hip hop R&B
R&B.
section, and that was it.
And to the
Or
point,
soul.
where we'll turn up to gigs with our guitars on our back. People are like, "Oh, are you a girl band singers?" We're like, "No, we're a band." Like,
And
obviously.
then you turn the volume up. And,
Literally, like they still couldn't like register in their head.
okay.
Yeah, so I feel like that's definitely a driving force. So we come with something
Yeah.
completely people unexpected.
We definitely want to
unexpected.
inspire other people.
Yeah, have you had that kind of reaction from maybe a young girl coming up to you? That's
Yeah,
like, I'm really
definitely.
glad you did this because
Yeah.
I felt I was the only one.
It's so great. Like every show that we put on,
It's
you
diverse.
just see more diverse people coming. They're like, "Oh, like I really appreciate you doing it," because you know they hadn't seen or could relate to people doing music like we do. So
It's a good
great
feeling, especially sometimes like when you've got, obviously like when we do have roles, like George was saying, it is diverse and there's women at these rock concerts, which is good because used to be women at the back and all the men at the front, but at our concerts the women are coming to the
Even
front.
yesterday, Eurosonic,
Yeah,
women rocking
the women,
out the most.
you know, were there at the front,
It's
and it
good.
was really good. But going back to sometimes when we play like 14 plus shows, you'll get parents bringing their young children and saying, "Look, this is what you could also
Yeah.
look at. This is something different for you to see."
I feel like we play harder when we see that in the audience because we're just like, this might be the first show they've seen of like women of colour on guitars, so we're going to make it a good show.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really nice for us.
Yeah, I
and
can imagine.
important.
In terms of the songwriting, then, because I wrote a couple of songs down, and you've released a couple of EPs. Well, first, because you mentioned these other projects, what made this project different?
What project?
Or this band? You mentioned the other bands. And
Yeah,
But we were like kids, 13, 14.
Yeah, you know,
we
like,
were when I was like,
young bands.
whatever.
Young.
And then like, it was, you have to be in bands.
Everyone
you,
has, like,
you
a
go and
first
discover
band.
yourself. You have a first
It's
band.
like having a first relationship.
Yeah, it's not the one.
Yeah.
But you get your experience
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
fair enough. Fair
I mean,
enough.
some people don't, but like mainly.
Yeah, not us.
They might regret it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was us, and then
You have like the main.
the main feeling
the
you
main
find
two.
yourself.
But did you know kind of immediately when you wrote that first song, kind of this works, this is
Yeah,
kind of,
it was very like, it was more like, whoa. It was quite
You were like-
scary actually, because we just thought we'd write a song just because.
We didn't know how it was going to come out.
Just a boring day. Let's be productive. We're bored. What should we do? Let's write a song. Oh yeah, great idea. And then
They were like,
we was like, oh my god, this is great. We love this, and it helped us evolve as people because we found our confidence and our voice through
Yeah.
our sound as well. So it's everything to us, So yeah.
What is it like now then? Because that was a long time ago. Now, when you start writing songs, or when you think, well, we have to be creative again, what does that look like? Where do you start?
where we start?
It's just literally, we don't really write thinking it has to sound in a particular way. There is definitely, we're quite open to what happens as long as it feels good. We're very much like follow your gut. So if we're writing something and we're just tapping out, Georgia will be tapping out on the drums or something, and then we'll kind of start wherever. And then we're kind of feeling this doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
Chuck it away. It's gone.
Sometimes we'll be tearing our hair out, like it doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
like,
and then it's not
start
working.
again.
And then when it's right and we're both like smiling and we're like, this is sick.
Yeah, then we're like grooving out to it in our little room.
Then that's it.
Then it
Goes
all
into
happens
set.
quick. When we like, you can just feel that it's right.
That's
We
it.
just record it in, and it's just like there. We're like,
Just
wicked.
that home setup,
Home
laptop,
demo,
Logic.
like Logic. You tap it in, record it in.
When do the lyrics come in?
Well, it depends really. Like most of the time, if G's kind of got like a bass line going around and she's tapped out a drum beat, I'll kind of think of something on it.
We'll mess around.
Mess
and
around. And then we take care of our own instruments, but then we bring them together, and then George might be like, that's not quite right, you need to sort that out, or maybe this, and then
Yeah.
same vice versa.
Vice versa. We're like, maybe change
Yeah.
this, or do this melody, or maybe go like this, or
So we're both involved in each
Yeah.
other's
very collaborative.
instruments. Do you know what I mean?
So can I assume you talk about what you want to discuss in the song? You talk about, you have conversations about
Yeah.
what it's going to be
Yeah,
about?
it
I
depends
think
as
we'll just
well.
be chatting, and then we'll be like, oh, that's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Or you'll be like, oh, this concept I've been thinking about. I'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends, like, what it is. Like, previous songs, it'll be, like, I'll be thinking, oh, if, what am I getting from the energy of this track? And it might make me feel a certain way. So I'd be like, oh, this line reminds me of this line or something, you know? And then it can develop from that. It depends.
And let's take one of the more recent ones then, Lose Your Head. Do you remember what sparked that song?
The bass line was literally crazy. It sounded like the end of the world. That's the only way I could think of it. It was like, and it was just, and I was like, whoa. I remember you actually showing it to me, and I was thinking, fuck, like, that sounds insane. And then the words, it just sounded like someone's put your neck in a spiral and it just popped off. So the word lose your head was kind of relevant. It just sounds like the end of the world, explosive. That's where that pioneered from.
And well, you mentioned kind of the feeling, so that energy on stage, how important is that?
Yeah, it's everything. It's like, it's really important. I don't know, it's not that
I feel
it's...
like it just comes
Yeah.
though, like it doesn't matter where it is. It could be to 10 people or to 10,000 people. We just did it in a glass box, but it felt the same.
Okay.
I think once you're in it, you're just in it, and you're just in this kind of like vortex bubble
Right.
thing.
Finally, then, you've, like I mentioned, you've released a couple of EPs. Can I assume now you're working towards an album?
Yeah, we're currently recording it now.
Okay.
And we're really excited about it. It's coming out like later on in the year though, so we haven't got any like specific date, but yeah, it's
What
coming.
what have you noticed about the songs so far?
Within the new songs, our growth, you know,
Definitely evolved.
definitely evolved. I'm just copying, you know. It definitely evolved. Say something else.
I think-
copy that too.
In what sense?
I think with like our whole thing was to not use any laptops or samples like since forever. So I think we've kind of like developed that, gone deeper into the pedal board realm and found like more crazy sounds that are literally just off bass guitar, you know. And yeah, it just sounds, people won't believe some of the sounds that come off this, and that's kind of, it's just times by 10 on this album. It just sounds more than the last stuff that we've done.
Yeah,
Which we
we've
love.
definitely grown from our first EP.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago. We released that, and you know, we've been gigging a lot. So we've been focusing a lot on just getting out and, you know, having fun with the shows. But I think we took some time out last year to think, hey, let's write the album now. And you know, we did gig a lot last year as well, but we took some time out.
Yeah, to write.
And we are excited about it, and we hope that everyone's going to be liking it as much as we do.
Final question then, and I know it's not finished yet, but what do you hope people take away from listening to your music and your album?
I just hope they can feel that they can do it too. Not necessarily what we're doing, like musically, but to feel that you don't have to be confined into a box and feel like your stereotype becomes what you are. I feel that you can definitely live outside them guidelines, and if we're two mixed girls playing punk rap and doing it, and people said to us all growing up that you don't belong in that world, like I think we're here to just mirror the next generation, hopefully, so they can feel, yes, that's something different. And even if it doesn't inspire you to do music, it just inspires you to push the boundaries. We've done our job. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.